In this world, some people's destinies read like a play written on a natal chart. Steve Jobs is such a legend, repeatedly refined by time. He was intelligent, rebellious, and possessed an acute aesthetic sensitivity. His life resembled a winding river. From the lonely source of childhood, it burst through successive rapids, smashed against cliffs, sank into deep pools of reflection, and ultimately poured into a sea that could see the light. Jobs's story begins with a childhood of abandonment. His biological parents relinquished him, and he was raised by adoptive parents. That early rupture was not merely about the warmth or coldness of blood relations. In the language of fate studies, it is often described as weak yin xing, ish yin shu. Hereafter, yin terms are explained in the glossary. A weak yin suggests inadequate external support in early years and a lack of inner security. For a child, such a pattern breeds premature maturity and plants a strong drive to prove oneself. You must demonstrate your value to gain belonging and recognition. Young Jobs manifested extraordinary sensitivity and rebellion under that inner drive. He dropped out of college, audited courses on design and typography, and traveled to India seeking spiritual teachers. These seemingly capricious actions were, in fact, natural outlets for his inner energy. In fate study terms, we can attribute them to a combination of Shíshén, and Shānguān. Shíshén, food god, creative star, brings imagination, aesthetic sense, and creative impulse. Shānguān, hurting officer, rebellious star, pushes one to challenge authority and break norms. When these two forces stack, a person can see possibilities others miss, but often cannot tolerate institutional constraints. Jobs's youthful intuition about technology and aesthetics was precisely a product of this configuration. He refused to treat the computer merely as a tool and sought to make it an artwork, a lifestyle, even a cultural symbol. Yet any sharp edge without a grounded channel will eventually cut itself. Creativity without suitable execution, and systems becomes a house in the air. The arrival of Steve Wozniak in Jobs's life served as that necessary channel. Wozniak functioned like what fate language calls bijié, and a practical giren. Bijié, peer ally, denotes similar forces or companions who can fight alongside you. A giren, helpful patron, refers to someone who provides practical help or resources at critical moments. Wozniak translated Jobs's ideas into hardware, converting aesthetic concepts into products that could circulate. Without Woz, Jobs might have remained a brilliant dreamer. With Woz, the dream gained runnable circuitry. It's important to stress here that the creative and the practical in a chart must complement each other. Vision must pair with engineering, aesthetics with production, and aspiration with execution to form a collaborative ecosystem. 70s Silicon Valley provided their initial stage. Apple was born in a garage, and then rapidly transformed into a globally noticed company. But as fate configurations suggest, when Shānguān, hurting officer, meets Guan Sha, which represent institutional authority and governance, conflict becomes likely. Guan/Sha, official/power, symbolizes structure, management, authority, and external rules that relate to positions, regulations, and organizational governance. When an individual's creative impulse collides with organizational order, friction escalates into rupture. Jobs's conflicts with executives and the board reflected this pattern. His sharpness was both the source of the company's early explosive growth and the very thorn that became inappropriate as governance complexity rose. Ultimately, he was marginalized and even ousted from the company he helped create. That moment, while appearing as total failure, was in fate terms a crucial node. The old trajectory was forcibly broken, and new energies needed to be sedimented and recomposed in a trough. After leaving Apple, Jobs did not sink. He founded Next and invested in Pixar, two paths that seemed divergent but, in fate study terms, were precisely capital accumulation during a trough. Sometimes a person's luck in a given period is unfavorable, yet during that time Piankai, or helpful patrons quietly enter the scene. Piankai, side occasional wealth, refers to gains outside primary business, investment returns, or windfalls. Next did not achieve massive commercial success at the time, but it carried technological sediment and conceptual experiments. Pixar grew from a small animation shop into an industry-transforming force, supplying Jobs with capital returns and broad social influence. Fate studies say Shīshén, when creative energy, Shānguān, meets suitable converters, market opportunities, patrons, capital, ideas can become cash flow and influence. Jobs' troughs were not mere losses. They packaged technology, experience, relationships, and reputation into future usable chips. Meanwhile, family and emotion played important and complex roles in his life. Early abandonment left inner cracks. His early relationship with his daughter Lisa revealed shortcomings in emotional responsibility, reflecting certain imbalances in his chart. Over time, his marriage to Laureen provided a stable emotional support, in fate terms seen as Zhengyin support. Zhengyin, proper nourishing star, legitimate support, symbolizes stable support systems, family, resources, or forces that provide security and nourishment. Zhengyin does not blunt his individuality. Instead, it offers a harbor for return and healing amid intense career involvement. Emotional capital is not merely soft consolation. In crucial years, it can significantly lower psychological costs and help a person regroup during a trough. Many entrepreneurs assume talent alone suffices for success, but Jobs' story shows that patrons, partners, family, and systems matter as well. Woz was an early practical patron who turned ideas into machines. Pixar partners and the Disney collaboration represented Piankai and Giren at key moments. Boards, investors, and the media can alternately be propellers or checkers depending on the year. The same people can shift from patrons to opponents as fortunes change. This focus on the fluidity of relationships is one of fate studies' practical meanings. Don't treat people in isolation. Rather, attend to who enters your arena, when, and in what capacity, and how they influence your configuration. Another crucial but often underestimated factor was Jobs' inner training and Zen practice. His youthful journey to India was not merely an episode of life, but a genuine integration of meditation into the core of his aesthetic and decision-making. Zen's emphasis on minimalism, clearing away distractions, and present-centered focus deeply infused his design language and product philosophy. In fate terms, when Shíshén or Shānguān's fire rages too hot, one needs yin, support, or inner cultivation to temper it. Otherwise, talent easily self-immolates into self-destruction. Zen practice served like an internal voltage regulator. It would not change the chart, but it transformed impulsiveness into sustainable concentration, allowing an extra beat of pause at critical choices and enabling bets to be placed at higher probability positions. After being expelled from Apple, Jobs did not passively wait. He transformed the calm brought by meditation into the capacity to observe markets and technologies, patiently accumulating resources and relationships for reuse. His return to Apple was not luck. It was the confluence, at one moment, of chart configuration, network, capital, and timing. Next's technological sediment, Pixar's capital and reputation, a long-cultivated patron network, and a market's technology maturity together supplied external conditions for the comeback, while inner cultivation ensured he would not be swayed by short-sighted emotions once back in power. The wave of Apple products after 1997, iMac, iPod, iPhone, iPad, were not mere technical luck. They were real manifestations of creative energy being accepted by institutional structures. Creativity met market windows and turned into sustainable wealth and cultural influence. This process also reveals the inevitable tension between entrepreneurship and governance. A founder's intuition and speed often clash with organizational norms. Early stages require disruption, while scaling requires Guan/Sha to maintain systemic operation. Jobs' problem and solution were not to eliminate contradiction, but to learn to switch roles across stages, institutionalizing personal impulse into manageable innovation processes, so that hurting officer-style creativity can function orderly inside suitable systems rather than ignite uncontrollably. For anyone planning to found a venture, Jobs' experience offers several actionable insights, arranged from cognition to practice for easier implementation. 1. Recognize your chart, self-knowledge. If you are born with Shíshén Shānguān tendencies, your strength is creation and rule-breaking, but your weakness may lie in management and execution. The first step is to clearly know which energy field you favor so you can target complementary support. 2. Institutionalize inner training, internal management. Make meditation, reflection, reading, or exercise a daily routine. Over time, these habits manifest as calm and judgment under pressure. Practices like Zen, systematic emotion management, or structured reflection can fulfill the role of yin, stabilizing your inner volatility. 3. Systematize relationship management. Productize your patron network. Turn building a patron network into an operational task. List the resources you need and make outreach plans for each. Patrons don't appear automatically. They show up when you display potential and readiness to engage. Layer potential patrons by type, technology, capital, market, governance, and maintain them long-term. 4. Treat troughs as asset accumulation phases, technical and experiential sedimentation. Document technologies as manuals or patents, convert relationships into long-term advisors, and write failure learnings into reusable methods. These seemingly minor accumulations often become key chips for a future comeback. 5. Institutionalize conflict management, organizational governance. Establish clear governance structures, equity arrangements, and partnership agreements before scaling to avoid paying a heavy price later for institutional gaps. Design the tension between founder power and organizational sustainability in advance rather than patching after conflict erupts. 6. Manage emotional capital, stable backing. Marriage and family are not variables to be sacrificed. A healthy partner relationship significantly reduces the psychological cost of entrepreneurial failure and helps you regroup in troughs. treat family as Zhengyin, not a constraint, but a reliable internal resource. Reintegrating these elements into Jobs' case, we see he was not legendary by sheer luck. Early rupture cultivated a drive to prove himself and stoked Shānguān-style rebellion. Youthful edge helped him break through mediocrity and attract partners like Woz. Being ousted taught patient accumulation and brought Pyongkai and Giren support. His marriage to Lorraine supplied emotional stability and lowered the risk of collapse under career pressure. Zen practice and mentorship functioned as internal tempering mechanisms, allowing him to seize opportunities when timing arrived. Fate study here does not claim Jobs' achievements were predestined. Rather, it presents a readable map. Understand your dominant energies. Identify which relationships can act as patrons at which times. Know when inner cultivation is needed to stabilize energy, and prepare institutional safeguards so that flashes of inspiration can be turned into durable enterprises. Ultimately, Jobs' life proves one point. A configuration gives direction, but choices and cultivation determine how far you travel. Recognizing your fate pattern is only the start. Managing your patron network, accumulating reusable assets, and training your inner judge are the real means to turn destiny into manageable variables. When you align these elements, occasional inspiration has a chance, under time's polish, to blossom into a lasting flower.